Cloud gaming is only getting more popular, and stuff like this, the Absolute Player, is what we're going to be talking about today, because I think cloud gaming has gotten to the point where it's actually usable for a bunch of different scenarios. But there's a lot of hardware now, and there's a lot of different services, so let me tell you what you need to know about cloud gaming in 2025. Poof, turn into a cloud.
Oh!
And remember, we're giving a Trim UI brick away at the end of December, so if you'd like to be considered, subscribe to this channel and the LIT NXT giveaway channel down below. So before we dive in, let me give you an idea of what cloud gaming is. It's also known as game streaming. It allows users to play video games without needing to own high-end gaming hardware. Instead of running the game locally on a console, PC, or device, cloud gaming offloads the process to remote servers or data centers that handle intensive tasks like rendering graphics and physics with your connection over the internet, however that may be. And this works by running the video games on these powerful remote servers and streaming the content to the player's devices in real time. This setup allows users to play high-quality games without the need for expensive or powerful hardware, as long as you have a stable internet connection. Now knowing the basic concept of cloud gaming, let's get into the video. So my big question to myself and to everyone else that I'm going to be answering today is game streaming viable? Is it a way for you to play games if you have no games at all? Or is it a way to supplement your gaming when you already have, say, a console at the house or a PC at the house? Is this something that you can take on go and be able to play with you no matter what? There's a lot of different caveats with cloud gaming, and it's because everything depends on your internet connection. And you can play cloud gaming on basically anything that runs a web browser and can contact the correct server and run JavaScript. So it basically means we need to talk about the most popular services and give you an idea of what we're actually working with here. There are going to be 4 main services going into 2025 here, including GeForce Now, Xbox Cloud Gaming Beta, PlayStation Plus Streaming, and your Steam Link or Moonlight. NVIDIA's GeForce Now works with using NVIDIA's servers, taking the list of games that they hold on those servers, checking it with the games that you own on different digital stores like Steam, and then streaming those games to you for a monthly fee. Next up is the Xbox Cloud Gaming Beta, where they take their entire library and say, hey, you have access to this entire library. You can stream select cloud playable games from their collection or that you own or buy through the Xbox or Microsoft Store. And these run on a litany of different things, from smart TVs to Fire Sticks to Steam Deck. So for Xbox, they're using their own servers to provide you the game via internet. Now moving on to PlayStation Plus. PlayStation is also a little bit different. PlayStation uses your hardware, so your PS5 in your house, to stream you your game. The idea here is your PlayStation 5, whenever you want to play a streamed game, either within your house or wherever you have internet access from, you can say, hey, PS5, turn on, start playing the game or whatever you were doing last, and I'm going to access you via internet. So basically all the PS5 is doing is screen sharing and giving you control of the device via Wi-Fi. Now they also have a server-based cloud streaming, but right now that's kind of in a smaller capacity. It's not nearly as much as Xbox is providing. They do select on-demand PS5 titles and they work great, but they really only go to specific things and they want you to use a PS5 controller. And in addition now, the PS Portal, which I think is pretty cool. And this includes all of your PlayStation functions like the DualSense controllers and all that stuff. So if the game is made to do that, it'll show up on your stream as well. And Sony really wants you to buy their hardware, so they generally want you to play with either touch or through a DualSense controller. They're a little bit needier on the hardware side there. Now we have another contender as well, which is Steam. And Steam is basically giving you Steam Link. And all that does is basically extend your Steam gaming experience from your PC or Mac or whatever you have your Steam account on, and it'll take that device and push it to whatever you're using it on. So it'll let you you run it to your Steam Deck, but you're going to have to be running your machine. So similarly to Sony is doing theirs, they're saying, hey, use your own hardware to screen share and give access of your game to something else. But Steam puts a little twist on this. You can actually remote play with your own game with another person. So if you have a 2-player co-op game, you can actually jump in and use your game, stream it over to someone else and have them join, which I think is really cool. And this is all free if you own the Steam software and have games on the platform. So there will be nothing else in addition, but it's a cool offering. Now that we have all that out of the way, is it cheaper? Well, is it cheaper than what? Is it cheaper than buying a console and playing the games, or taking the games on a handheld and bringing it with you? I think yes. I think if you are just trying this out and you're trying it out on a web browser or a phone with maybe a Bluetooth controller or one of those little grips you can put on there, I think yes. I think this is way cheaper than just regular gaming. So maybe you've never gamed before. Maybe you're finally dipping your toes into, maybe you get into racing games or platformers or something. You just want to try it. You've never done it before. I think this is a great way to look at some games and try some out for a low cost and then dive in later. And once you've dove completely into this genre of cloud gaming, there's actually a bunch of hardware that a bunch of different console manufacturers are starting to make, and there's a lot of different offerings. So let's look at the console from Absolute as an idea of what we're looking for in cloud gaming. And if you're looking for a handheld console for streaming, you're going to want something like this for minimum specifications. This is the Absolute Player. It has a 1920 by 1080 60Hz refresh rate screen at 7 inches, which looks very nice. It has a D-pad that is squishy and not clicky, 2 Hall Effect Switch-style joysticks that are clicky and not squishy, A, B, X, Y buttons that are squishy and not clicky with some lights behind them, Start, Select, Home, and Back buttons that are all clicky and not squishy, in addition to being an incredibly thin console here. These types of consoles do really well with battery life, and this one specifically has a 5300 milliamp hour battery because you're not really doing any of the hardware encoding or decoding on the device, you're just streaming to it. So it's essentially playing like a YouTube video that you're watching now. And if you're streaming modern titles, which you're going to be because you're streaming fancy games, I recommend having R1, R2, L1, and L2 buttons. The ones on the Absolute here, the ones are clicky and not squishy, and the R2 and L2s are resistive because they have no click or squish. They are Hall Effect. So a console like this is basically what I'd recommend as a starting point into cloud gaming. This one has a tailored launcher instead of Android coming right up, which is the back end of this software package here. And what that does is basically kick you in directly to whatever streaming service you're going to want. So there's not any other bloat, and it really only lets you run one service at a time. This does do a few other things like play some Android games and even a little bit of light emulation, but I don't think that's what this is for. This is specifically for cloud gaming. And there's a bunch of other hardware options too that do this. Stuff like the Logitech G Cloud is what Xbox is championing as their current hardware offering for cloud gaming, while Sony has the Portal, which we've talked about before. That is basically all of the options from the DualSense PS5 controllers with a screen jammed in the center of it. I think they've done a really good job of putting that thing together, but that is a very niche use case of the PlayStation 5 titles and their cloud service only. That won't be able to run anything else. While Xbox offering is pretty much just an Android device where you can load up whatever service, just like the Absolute here, and play whatever other games. This is it in the background. I think this is a great starting point if you want a cheap offering that is a streaming only handheld. It has all the services available and is just very straight to the point. And if you're not looking for just game streaming, I recommend something like one of these portable emulators. Stuff like the Retroid Pocket 4 and 5 would do great, the iNode Mini 2, Anbernics RG556, and there are a ton of different options with video reviews on my channel if you want to check those out in the description below. These are marketed as handheld emulators, but they're just Android, so they also do game streaming fantastically and have overlay mapping controls. If you're looking to just kind of get into something quick and easy, I would say recommend your phone first and a Bluetooth controller, and try streaming on your regular phone because it's going to do pretty much as well as other stuff. But if you're stepping up into the baseline category and want to just get your toes wet, I think the starter ones like the Absolute, G Cloud, there's a bunch of different options. I'll link them down in the description. would be good offerings. Despite its promise, cloud gaming faces some challenges, the biggest ones being latency issues. So when you're playing one of these games on a console or a PC, the processing is happening locally, so there's barely any delay between your actions and the game's response. But with cloud gaming, the processes are happening remotely, which means there's a risk of lag. And there's pretty much gonna be lag because you're using the internet to connect to your device of choice. This can be frustrating, especially in fast-paced games that require quick reflexes like Call of Duty, Fortnite, anything that you're jumping in with other players and trying to get those sweaty headshots off in. And another challenge is actually just connection itself. The internet access is not the same everywhere around the world. Not everyone has a fast and reliable internet connection, which is essential for cloud gaming. If your internet is slow, your experience will also be slow. So let's not forget about rural areas where the internet access is limited or non-existent, because I'm testing this in a metropolitan city area. I live in Washington, D.C., so that means I have a pretty fast internet connection. I have a gig up and down on fiber, and not everybody has that option. So for me, I'm able to test this on very high speeds. But for other people, depending on your connection speed, this is going to be a completely different ballgame. But for 2025, I am excited. Cloud gaming has only gotten better. Internet speeds keep getting faster and faster, and routers only keep getting better with different Wi-Fi compatibilities coming out. So I'm excited to see what happens. I'd like to know down in the comments what you all think about cloud gaming and what you would like to see from it in the future. Google Stadia never really took off for some reason. I thought that would do pretty well. They had the right idea, but it just flopped. It never did anything. I don't know what's happening with that, but maybe Valve and Google will do something and put streaming onto the Steam Deck and take over the market. Who knows? Let me know in the comments what you guys think, and that's it. Yes. Okay. Goodbye.